Indahnya negeri ini dengan hasil bumi yang melimpah. Dari hasil bumi, kita bertransaksi. Bertransaksi, jual, dan beli. Pasar adalah tempat kita berbagi rezeki. Tempat terjadinya denyut ekonomi. Penuh dengan informasi dan silaturahmi. Hasilnya bisa kita nikmati. Kesejahteraan masyarakat harus didukung keuangan yang sehat. Karena itu, perbankan sangat penting bagi industri keuangan nasional. Kepercayaan nasabah merupakan faktor utama dalam industri perbankan. Melalui fungsi intermediasi perbankan yang mendukung pembangunan nasional dari hulu hingga hilir ke seluruh lini hingga ke pelosok negeri, LPS hadir sebagai lembaga yang melindungi nasabah dan mendukung stabilitas sistem perbankan melalui program penjaminan dan resolusi. LPS turut serta memelihara stabilitas perbankan dalam pembangunan nasional demi kesejahteraan Indonesia di masa yang akan datang. Dari kita, untuk kita. LPS, aman, tenang, pasti.
Hi, good afternoon or maybe good morning everybody wherever you are. Welcome to the 9th event of Temu Pendidik Nusantara 2022. Okay, first of all, would you like to let me know that my sound or my voice is clear? Can you give sign like this maybe? Or can you write comment in YouTube? All right. Well, how are you doing, guys? I do hope that we are in healthy and happy condition so that we can join and enjoy today's session till the end. Well, I would like to say thank you very much to our event partners, namely Yayasan Guru Belajar, Cerita Guru Belajar, Kampus Guru Cikal, Kampus Pemimpin Merdeka, and Teach First Indonesia. And also our beloved sponsors, namely Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan or LPS, Wardah, and NutriFood, which kindly support this event. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Handin Ninek Anggrani Muhtar. You can call me Miss Ninek. I teach at Junior High School number 7 Binamo. It is located in Jeneponto, South Sulawesi. For an hour ahead, I will be in charge as a moderator for this international class session. All right. Actually, I have a partner here, namely Mr. Sen, but I think something wrong with his connection. And all right, I have another partner here. Mr. Sen, are you here? Can you hear me? Okay, say hi, Mr. Sen. Hello. Can you say something, Mr. Sen? Okay. I think, yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
And hope everyone enjoyed this session. Okay, quick back to next minute.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the theme of our Temu Pendidik Nusantara today is curriculum that empowers context, or in Indonesia we say kurikulum yang memberdayakan konteks. Well, there are some sessions for this class. The first one is material presentations from the speakers. The second one is question and answer sessions, and the last is reflection. Okay, is it clear, guys? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there will be two professional speakers who will share their knowledge, their best practice. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere. You may take your food and beverage while you enjoy this international class. Right. But before that, I would like to remind you all that don't forget to screenshot or quote some exciting part of this session and post them on your social media with the hashtag bergerak untuk berdampak, hashtag belajar di TPN 9, and mention at Temu Pendidik Nusantara and also note the speakers. Well, audiences, please welcome our first speaker, namely Mr. Manoharan G. Karthigasu from Singapore. Hello, Mr. Mano. Hello.
Can everyone hear me? All right. Okay.
Okay. Well, okay. How are you doing, Mr. Mano?
I'm doing well. It's very rainy here, so the weather outside is not good. But hopefully, in this group, all of us are warm and ready to learn and share. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do hope that it will not disturb our international class today, right? Well, let me tell you the audiences about your biography. So, Mr. Mano is an effective and valued education leader with nearly 20 years. Oh my God, 20 years of experience in the classroom and as an administrator in the UK, Australia, Indonesia, Malaysia, and also Singapore. He has consulted with and developed STEM-focused programs in K-12 and higher education institutes. He believes that curiosity and passion for learning need to be modeled. Being with students and peers in classroom and learning together gives him the greatest joy. Wow, that was so amazing belief. That was so amazing experiences for nearly 20 years. Okay, thank you. Next, I would like to invite our second speaker, namely Miss Dirayanti Bungawardani. All right. Hello.
Pak Mano.
Hi.
Hi, hello Mr. Nico Mano.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Okay, I'm good.
How are you doing? Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. Well, let me tell you again about Miss Dira biography. So, Miss Dira is a middle school science teacher in Sekolah Cikal, Jakarta, Indonesia. Graduated from Institute Technology of 10 November. Miss Dira is a science, math, and geography teacher for middle school and high school level. She always considers new ways to approach students by integrating the latest invention on education technology and integrating the subjects with technology, research, engineering, and art. So, welcome to the 9 event of Temu Pendidik Nusantara 2022 for Mr. Mano and Miss Dira.
Thank you, Miss
Okay.
Nini.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, to begin with, I would like to invite the first speaker, that is Mr. Mano, to present his material entitled Making Math Relatable. So, to Mr. Mano, time is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Ninik. So let me share my screen. All right. So is my screen viewable? Okay. All right. So it's viewable
Yes.
now. All right. So just let me start very quickly. My name is Mano. That's what most people call me. And I've been an educator for nearly 20 years. And in my early days, I used to teach math. and which is an interesting story by itself because I'm not really good at math in school. So maybe that's why I was inclined to become a math teacher. I believe that there's a lot of very smart people out there, but it really takes somebody to be a good teacher. And I think, especially in the area of mathematics, it's very abstract. It's not an easy subject to teach, and a lot of students find it really difficult. So I know that's why I was drawn into teaching mathematics, because I want to be able to help students understand and really value, appreciate, and love learning mathematics. So the title today of my uh, talk, brief talk, is about making math relatable. So I just want to share some best practices that I feel like has helped me in the last 20 years being in the classroom, working with math teachers, and also working with students all the way from primary all the way to higher education. So I have that equation that most of us know, E equals to mc square. I'll get back to that in a while. So there's 3 points that I would like to share today, and I'll keep it really brief. First of all, my first point is, who is Jibu? I have a very interesting story to share about this. Many years ago, when my kids were really young, uh, I used to read them books, and one of my favorite books or author is Dr. Seuss. I think a lot of you know, and this is one of my favorite books. All the things you can think. Now, in this particular page, this is about what possible things that you can think about. When we come to this page, and it says here, and what would you do if you met a jibu? And I remember when I was reading this to my kids, my daughter stopped me there and she said, Dad, who is jibu? And then my son, who's 2 years younger, beside a sister, said the same thing. Who's jibu, Dad? Now, at that point, when they asked me that question, I had to make a decision. Should I answer that question, or should I just ignore it? Because this is, after all, something that was made up by the author, and there's no information about who Jibu is. But when I looked at my kids, and I looked at that, that anticipation that they had on their face, I decided to answer the question. And I started telling them stories, made up stories about who Jibu is. And every day, when it's my turn to read books with them, this is their favorite part. When they come to this page and they will say, Dad, who is Jibu? Can you tell us a story about Jibu? And I will make up a story and I will tell them. Now, what's the point of this? I think by doing this, I was able to engage them in learning. By answering their question, I engaged them by being creative, and I got them to love reading. I think that's one of the biggest thing that I was able to influence my children in. Now, how is this relatable to mathematics? When you teach mathematics, obviously students have a lots of questions, and these questions. Why am I learning this? How is this relevant to me? You know, what's the point of learning this? Why am I studying past year papers? Why is the goal to be able to solve the most difficult equations or questions? And there seems like we learn 14 topics in a year. If you look at IGCSE books on across all different subject areas, and this goes on and on year after year. And for me to think that mathematics that took hundreds of years by so many people to figure out, we want students to understand in one academic year. I believe in the same way when my children asked me who is Jibu, and I decided to answer that question. I think as teachers, it's also very important for us to be able to answer that question. Let's take a topic like probability. Probability in the whole universe of mathematics is just a simple dot. It is related to so many other things. It has a story of where it began. It has a context of why it was invented or discovered. There was an application, and there's relevance today. So I think when students ask us these questions, in the same way my children ask, we owe it to them to ask this question. And I think it's really, really important in mathematics that we understand that every topic that we teach, or every uh, equations, or anything that we teach related to mathematics has a story. Just like that question that was asked, I think when we allow our students to ask us these questions, why is this relevant? How is it used? Why is it important to me? How is it applied? What's the point of learning this? I think we should take the time and to be able to answer these questions, or find time to to be able to address some of these questions, if it's not all. And when we think about probability, I don't want to get into the story of how it was invented, but to think that something that was discovered for so long ago, actually it was a conversation that came about between a philosopher and a few very famous well-known mathematicians, about, in a gambling game, how to figure out who gets what if we stop a game halfway. And today, as most of you know, this very same theory is used in neural networks, right? Probabilistic neural networks. When you use Instagram, when you use TikTok, when you use Shopee, Lazada, when they do the recommendations, all this uses a mathematic that students learn in school, probability, and is applied today into helping us when we are shopping and doing all these other things. So I really want to encourage us to answer students' questions. When they come to you and they ask you, who is Jibu? When you know you are tied up because of curriculum time, or you do not have time, or you do not know the answer, or you feel like, it's not important. What's important is you need to get your A in your, then we are shortchanging our students. So the question here is how can I be able to address the story, the context, or the application, or the relevance of the topics that I'm teaching in mathematics. What should I do as an educator? Maybe we can take about 15 or 20 seconds and think about this, and just put it in the chat. What do you think it will take for you to be able to answer these questions, or take the time to answer these questions, or find out more about the story of mathematics? I'll share with you some of the things that I've done that has helped me. I love to read. I love to explore. I have a private channel, a mathematics channel, where I collect different articles, I collect different videos, just to learn about how mathematics is being used and applied. I have books about history of mathematics and how it came about. So I do lots of research work, and I do this a lot out of my own interest. And I try to make connections with the things that I'm teaching. Interesting stories, interesting contacts, interesting application, fascinating connections, or just even philosophical questions about mathematics. And I keep them. And when there's an opportunity for me to share and show this to students, and I use them to just hook them in and to help them to ask more questions. So I think as teachers, like I said before, uh, teaching is not something that you do. Learning is not something that you teach, but it needs to be modeled. So when I am a learner, when I show my students how to learn, I hope that inspires them to also want to learn, just like I am continuously learning. So I think it's very important we as teachers especially math teachers, we don't stop learning. I'm really fortunate because my first background was IT, so I come from some of these things, mathematical concepts are used in the field that I was from. But I also try to find out from my colleagues, my friends, in other fields of engineering or biology or sciences, how mathematics is used, and to make those connections and to be shared with my students. So let me move on. Secondly, I think another way that we can make really math relatable is with the use of technology. I think the tools that we have today, they are so amazing and remarkable that I don't think I can teach any better. So I think uh, take advantage of technology, take advantage of some of the great YouTube videos where people create great content about teaching math, or some of the tools or apps that are available that you can utilize to make mathematics more meaningful, uh, and enhance the understanding as well. So I want to share some things. Yes. These are some of the tools that I use, and I would like to share some of it using my iPad. But we were having some problems, so let me just share this. Just give me a minute. Okay, so you probably can see my screen. So let me share with you some of the apps that I've used that I think that are really really helpful. Uh, so this is a Galton board, and it's really a cool way to show the distribution, the normal distribution. So here I can pick a certain number of balls, and I can also adjust the number of rows, right? And then you see a small little graph right at the bottom right hand corner. So if I were to start this, okay, so let me add the balls. Okay, right? So you see all these balls falling, and you see the distribution being developed. And I think it's a really cool way and an app that you can use when you're teaching, for students to experiment and to work out different things. So this is a great app. Another one, something that almost all of you are probably aware, this is for primary school, I think, that is really applicable. It's called a geoboard, and this is to show that all the angles are the same. And so again, imagine using tools like this to be able to quickly do things, right? And you can even add text. You can, there's a lot of things that you can do here. So this is another free app. So all the apps that I'm showing you right now are just mostly free. Uh, this is an app called Algorithm, and so this is it. Kind of like explains about how different algorithms were developed, and so I use this to learn certain things that are relatable to the topics that I teach. So the Euclidean algorithm, it is it is referred to as the world's oldest algorithm, and I never knew this, right? So this is something that we teach. It's about finding the largest common divisor of two big numbers, right? So it goes through step by step. I'm just going to tap through this using the mode. uh, all right, and then it explains how this is done, how this algorithm works. And then it also explains right at the end, using diagrams, how this app was also developed. This algorithm was developed. So it's a really cool way to for us to learn and to teach why something works, or why a certain algorithm actually works, right? So this is a cool way. If I were to reset this and I go back, let me just go back. You will see that there's a lot of algorithms, and I can pick any one of them. For example, Tower of Hanoi, it explains how you can stack up, and how this algorithm works and how you can solve it. So there's a lot of apps like this, and one of my favorites is Mathagon. It's also a free app, and you also have a website that you can access. It has a lot of things that you can access. There are courses that has been pre-built that you can start using. Uh, I really love this. There's a timeline of mathematics, you know, uh, from the Stone Age all the way to today, and you can tap on just different people, and it tells you what branch of mathematics did they work in, and it also tells you, uh, provides you with all this lot of tools that you can actually use in your classroom. So it's a really really cool tool, and it's free. And yeah, for example, probability. Uh, I can actually add tools here like this. I can select them and I can randomize them. Uh, so why are these tools really useful? Because I can actually create activities around them where it allows students to be able to experience certain concepts before I started teaching them, right? So I rather students discover certain concepts rather than me telling them, because this is what the textbook says. So these are some of the apps. Let me show you one more. This is a 3D calculator app. All right, so there's a lot of cool things that I can do here. So let me see. Okay, and this is 3D, and I can also do a augmented reality. So as you can see, there's a lot of things here. Let me see, what was I looking for? Something. Yeah, net. Okay, there you go. All right, and just have a look, and so and all these tools are free, so it's so, and use technology. I mean, these are tools that are available. Some comes with an app, some comes in as on the website, so as an online tool. So explore, and there's thousands of them. Pick those that are useful to you, and these are some of my favorites, and I try to take advantage of them to enhance my own teaching so that students can benefit. So let me continue with one last point here. How can we make math relatable? So I shared this with us just now. Let me just move on. Thirdly, I think try to make mathematics experiential rather than, we as teachers standing in the front and using the textbook to teach. I would rather take something that is contextual, something that is in the world, and something that everyone can benefit, right? And I can engage them better. So let me share this with you. Uh, all of us know this is one of the most popular games in the world, chess. Now I have a question for all of us here, and I don't want you to use Google to search for the answer, but I want you to try to figure out an answer to this question. All right, so this is a square that I can make, one big square, 8 times 8. This is also a square that I can make, a small square. There's 64 squares in a chessboard. And this is also a 2 by 2 square. The question that I have is this: how many squares can I make on the chessboard? Okay, so this is a square, this is a square, this is one big square. So my question is, how many squares can I make in total? how would you find an answer to this? So if you do know the answer, maybe you can share on the chat. Now, if you do not know the answer, not knowing is not a failure. It's the first step to understanding. When we are faced with problems like this, sometimes we need to be patient. We need to go and look for answers. I can give you the answer, but I know if I rushed to give you an answer, I would have robbed you of the opportunity to learn. So one of the things that I really believe in is uh, Zoltan Dienz on learning mathematics. He believes that we should explore and play. We as teachers can make arrangements for a structured discussion, and finally we can practice. So this is something that I've tried to put into practice. So again, going back to this question, I remember when I first discovered this, I spent a few days trying to figure out the answer. And when I did, I thought, my goodness, it was so easy. How didn't I know this, right? But again, I learned something new. Another thing that we know is quite popular nowadays is Wordle. This was about 1 year ago, and you know how you need to, like, it's a 5 word, and then you need to pick letters. So the question was, like, the sooner you can find the answer, if you can do it in 3 lines, they call it birdie, and if you can do it in 4 lines, they used to call it a par. So everyone trying to hit birdie or par. Now, what I tried to figure out was, is there a way I can use probability to use what letters should I put, what word should I put in the as my first guess? And I remember we had a lot of discussion with around this, and of course there is, right? So here you can see that in the English language, certain letters appear more than others, right? So if I can just put them together and try to create words just using these letters, I maybe will be able to make a good first or second guess. And I remember using this actually works, right? I was able to solve a lot of my answers within 3 or 4 lines, right? So again, math comes to help. Now, people know who this is, Stephen Curry. So he throws the ball. The question is, does the ball go in, right? So again, I would like to start my discussions, my classes around questions like this. Will the ball go in? What is the best 5-letter word that I can use to win this game? Or what's the number of squares on a chessboard? Or maybe some different other boards. And I always start with a question and experiential learning. Students get into it, and then we look at theories and we will try to put things together and figure things out together. So I believe that really helps students in my class to enjoy and feel like math is relatable, it has context, and it's useful, and it's relatable. So I think that's the biggest challenge for us as mathematics teachers. So I hope with this, I want to close up with this quote: what books are to reading, play is to mathematics. So if we take math too seriously and we don't give students enough opportunity to play, then I think we are going to make more enemies of math than more people that really love and want to learn maths. So that's my brief sharing here about making math relatable. So I hope this is helpful. These are just very basic principles that I put into practice in my own classroom, and I've seen that really being helpful and really helping a lot of students, even students who are not that good in maths, but to really love and give their best. So that's all, Bu Nunik, that my sharing.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mano, for a great best practice. When you explain, I can imagine that how enjoyable your class is with enhance with some great application, and I'm sure that your student will enjoy your class. Right. Well, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we invite the next speaker, let's play the video first. To Mr. Sen, would you like to play the video, please?
Saya penjual batik. Awalnya saya nggak pernah nyimpan uang di bank. Semua keuntungan saya simpan di toko. Kalau di rumah ya saya simpan di bawah bantal. Semenjak kena kebakaran, uang saya hangus semua sampai ludes. Habis. Semenjak itu, saya sadar saya harus nabung di bank, nyimpen uang di bank. Ya, biar aman dan tentram. Ya, pastinya bank kita ya harus ada yang jamin, ya toh?
Simpanan Anda di bank dijamin hingga 2 miliar rupiah.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Zen. Now we would like to invite the second speaker, namely Miss Dira, who would like to present her
Hi.
material. Okay,
Hello.
hi.
Hi, Miss
Yeah.
Nick. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so
Can you hear
excited.
Can you hear my voice on your side?
Yes, it's really clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So, Miss Dira would like to present her material entitled Improve Critical Thinking Skills on Geography class using Padlet. So, to Miss Dira, time is yours.
Thank you, everyone. So I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Dirayanti Bungawardani. I am one of the program manager here in Sekolah Cikal, and today I'm going to talk about how to improve critical thinking in geography class using Padlet according to my classroom experience. So I would like to share my screen first. Let me check. Okay. Okay. I think it is showing on your side. Okay, let me redo the. Okay, let me just redo the screen sharing because it's kind of laggy.
That's okay. We are waiting for you, Miss.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It is unavoidable.
Yes.
Well, guys, while waiting for Miss Dira trying to present her material, don't forget to type your questions, right? Okay, is it okay, Miss Dira?
Okay. You can see my screen, Miss
Yes,
Nini?
I can.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you very much. Okay,
go
so let
ahead.
me introduce myself again. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Dirayanti Bungawardani. Just like I said before, I will talk about one of my classroom experience, which is how to use Padlet to improve critical thinking skills. So let me talk about the context of my work. So last academic year, I was a geography teacher for high school students. And on my class, I encourage students to develop their critical thinking by comparing and evaluating information resources. So my concern about critical thinking skill comes from the condition of the students. According to 2016 research, the high school student in Indonesia, majority they are lacking their critical thinking skills that should be possessed according to their age group. And I believe, from my observation on my classroom, it also happened on my class. Moreover, a research from Lane emphasized that developing critical thinking in geography is essential as the students they need to be exposed to wide range of information when they are assessing geographical issue. on what is critical thinking actually. So it is a huge word. It is a really it is covering so many things about critical. It is covering so many things when it comes to critical thinking. So basically, it is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and also evaluating information. Where does the information comes from? It could be gathered, generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication. And what does it do? The critical thinking can be used as a guide to belief and action. And as you can see from the figure here, the critical thinking can be applied to improve analyzing, reasoning, evaluating, and in the end, it could improve problem solving, also enhancing decision making. So, the importance of developing critical thinking has been emphasized on several research and surveys. The study in 2006 by Clement stated that by using critical thinking, students could improve level of engagement with the issues that need to be solved on the classroom, thus promote a deeper level of engagement by stimulating curiosity. But to sum up all of the research, I have here a drawing that's showing why is critical thinking is important. So why is thinking is important? It is helping the students to improve decision making. It enhances their problem solving ability. It's refine their research skill, polishes their creativity, also stimulating their curiosity. So by considering all of this importance, every person should be able to think critically, right? But unfortunately, a study by Goodset on 2020 revealed that 90% of college students are lack in critical thinking skill, which implies that most of the high school students are not equipped with critical thinking skill. So what does it do? After they go to the university, their work quality become poor, and this was shown by the hesitancy of making decision, lacking of objectivity while presenting ideas, and difficulty when interpreting theories. Well, we already talked about the importance of critical thinking. Let's talk about the challenge when we are developing critical thinking skill in the classroom. If you were a high school teacher like me, you know that in some way, high school students tend to be hesitant to do anything. Well, that also include when we want to incorporate critical thinking methods in class activity. So, well, where does that hesitancy come from? Well, the challenge could come from the student's learning environment, where it usually characterized by a learning style that limited to discuss material only in books, and from the teacher itself, could have some challenge. This was implied by Karakoch, where he said that the teacher could also face challenges. Could face challenges to find a way in encouraging the student to find a way to encouraging the students. And then when we look on those challenges, well, those challenges could hinder the development of critical thinking, where the student must engage in investigating and assessing information, as well as reflecting on data and information. So when we look on the challenge from the teaching material, Rida mentioned that the geography learning material in Indonesia, especially in senior high school, still needed to integrate more components to improve critical thinking. Furthermore, Al-Sani and Yaqub also note that the instruction to develop critical thinking in geography needed to develop in school. So it appears that an educator must think carefully about how to facilitate a class by selecting the most up-to-date models and approaches for directing and helping students' critical thinking development. One more challenge that recently arose is the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic also created a greater challenge for building critical thinking in geography class. Abdi noted that the challenge to teach geography online in Indonesia were the quality of the internet connection and also the preparation for the online learning material. Okay, so to overcome the challenges on the class activity, I use the approach of connectivism. So what is connectivism? Connectivism was firstly proposed by George Siemens, widely recognized as breakthrough in digital learning theory. So according to this theory, students could gain knowledge in online learning by exchanging their interests, viewpoints, knowledge, and idea settings. For further understand connectivism, Stangra and Wheeler noted that connectivism saw individuals transform into nodes capable of sharing their knowledge and skills with others as a result of informal learning, and afterwards they gain more information by sequencing the nodes. So we know that most students are self-directed learners. Modern learners occurs through network connection in the form of blogs, stories, journal, video clips, podcasts, or even TikTok video. These resources may be found through utilizing internet technology, which includes database and also search engine. So one of the research from CROP noted that after a student made connection between the information sets, they can use this connection the, to get a direct access not only to the accurate and relevant information, but also to the unreliable information from millions of resources. After they get the information, what will they do? Well, the students may duplicate, they may reproduce and spread through their social media. But they also can delete, critique, or reject inaccurate, irrelevant, and unreliable data by means to curating all of the information that available. So how did I implement connectivism in my classroom to improve critical thinking? Well, the development of critical thinking could be formed using the right ecology and model. Additionally, choosing the right learning material and procedure could facilitate critical thinking cultivation better. So according to Radhakrishnan, students' critical thinking could be improved by optimizing interaction between student and teacher using direct feedback and structured discussion. Now let's add the element of collaborative learning here. Well, Bravo and Skegers noted that collaborative learning was a branch of connectivism that created benefit for students, including the acquisition of new knowledge, self-regulation, and positive interdependence. Well, collaborative experience have been found to increase student engagement by using various of digital tools. When it is applied to class activity, by using collaborative tool, the learners can be transformed into individuals who can manage their time and arrange their work in response to everyday chaos of information available online. And once we add those elements, what will happen to students' critical thinking? Well, collaborative learning has been found to effectively improve student critical thinking. Well, Luz and Passarella here stated that exposure to active collaborative learning was positively linked to the development of critical thinking in most students. And similarly, Warsaw found that collaborative learning in the form of group discussion encouraged students to retain their critical thinking abilities. Well, on to my next point is how did I implement it in the classroom? So I use Padlet here as a online as an online discussion board. So I use the practice of group discussion and collaborative learning to improve critical thinking using Padlet. So if you didn't know what is Padlet, Padlet is one of the technological platform that allows students and teachers to share page and provide feedback. The pages could include links, video, photograph, file, document on a virtual wall. It was revealed that Padlet helped learners overcome their difficulties by being involved in the class activity, by being involved in class activity. The Padlet could Padlet could overcome student shyness and also anxiety by following the group discussion online. So, uh, so critical thinking could be improved using through the use of educational activity, and particularly when the activity were included in assignment and online discussion. Um, and Ismail stated that online interaction can include the use of comments, appreciation, and emojis uh, to improve students' critical thinking. The, the practice of the Padlet itself, it is aligned with the connectivism theory. It is stated by a Western Governor University. So let's check how did I do in my class. So I have a Padlet here for year 11 geography class. As I mentioned before, it is used for online discussion and exchanging idea. I was using this Padlet a page for a period of 3 months where students and me could exchange the information using multimedia files according to the topic that being taught in the classroom. The students were encouraged to discuss the files as that we shared according to the following procedure. So after I share any file on the classroom, student wrote a paragraph that respond to the topic that was discussed in the classroom asynchronously. So by means I will do the sharing, and then the students, I will do the sharing on the classroom or on the class on the moment during the class session, but they can do the respond on other time. And then during the classroom session, I had a discussion about their response and asked each student to criticize other student response to the extent whether they supported or rejected. So they will give any response whether they support or rejected, or whether the resources is correct or not, whether the resources is reliable or not, and they could do that. They could do that using text, image, or star. And then the students were asked on the classroom session, followed by the students were asked to explain their response to the classroom by allowing them to share resources that they had when they made the response. So when they had a response, whether they are agree or not, they will. I will ask the students that why you didn't agree about that. What makes you confident that the resource is not reliable? How do you? And I will ask them, okay, do you have any resources to support your opinion? And then finally, I will give the feedback on both classroom session and Padlet page to make sure that the students were on the right track, and provided the students with necessary guidance to ensure all students apply their critical thinking appropriately. By the end of the term, the students were asked to create infographic poster about Indonesia National Park. The students were asked to plan their poster on Padlet, And then other students may allow to give feedback about their plans, especially about the resources. The assess a lesson objective that related to their critical thinking was to detect pattern and trends and explain relation which one must gather and analyze credible data and information from many sources. So from the submission of their poster, apparently most of the students were able to explain and analyze credible data and information. And this was shown on how they choose their information carefully and compared data from the online discussion and personal research to explain their finding. Student works, as well as their critical thinking skill, were assessed by rubric. Rubric were effective evaluation tools because they were quick and simple to use, also able to provide feedback on both students and teacher. Although the teacher and students benefit from rubric, some research noted that the effectiveness of rubric only applied to classes with small number of students. If the class has large number of students, then the other methods assessment may be considered. Now let's talk about benefit and the drawbacks of the method. So does connectivism allow students to learn more effectively? Yes, it does by gaining knowledge and perspective through their personal network. Therefore, utilizing Padlet as an online discussion platform allow the students to expand their knowledge and help them to see things from different point of view. Likewise, Dr. Krishnan also noted that through the online discussion, students could apply critical thinking skill in any learning object and prepare them to evaluate the authenticity of the information source. However, the application of Padlet for online discussion also created another challenge. Since some of the students were not familiar with the platform, so it took extra time to teach the student how to navigate the site. Therefore, it is important to recognize students' capability of digital literacy. Padlet also needs stable internet connection to access the page and also the feature. So I suggest if you want to apply my practice to your classroom, it will be beneficial if you prepare an instruction video or also document on how to use Padlet and emphasize the importance of discussion to hone a critical thinking skill. So to sum up my presentation, I have some conclusion here. The first one, in my classroom, online discussion on Padlet were able to improve critical thinking skills, especially when analyzing credible data. And on Padlet forum, students were encouraged to give comments or feedback on each other and analyzing credible source, which is really helping to improve their critical thinking. Second, students were able to interact with their peers, exchanging ideas, and give feedback about their works. As I mentioned before, on Padlet, they could on Padlet, collaborative learning is a big thing. And then my third conclusion comes from the drawback of the activity. I noted that the application of Padlet could cause some challenges due to the differences in critical and digital literacy skill. Therefore, a briefing and guidance from teacher were needed. So I think that's conclude my presentation. Thank you for already listening and watching on my session. I really hope that you got some inspiration from my experience so you could implement it on your class. Again, thank you.
Well, guys, thank you very much, Miss Dira, for a great explanation or best practice about how you improve your students' critical thinking using Padlet. Anyway, I also use it in my class. I use Padlet when I ask my students to submit their assignments such as video, or when my students have to write their reflection, I use Padlet also. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Before we come to the question and answer session, we would like to play a video first. Let's check it out.
Nama saya Ibeng. Dulunya saya karyawan. Tapi kena PHK. Kok ya nggak kepikiran buat nabung. Nggak tahu kenapa males. Saya coba usaha angkringan. Alhamdulillah rame. Dari hasil usaha angkringan ini, keuntungannya terus saya tabung. Tapi nabung juga nggak sembarangan, harus di bank, kan ada yang jamin.
Simpanan Anda di bank dijamin hingga 2 miliar rupiah.
Well, thank you. Now we come to the question and answer sessions. I see that there are already some questions in live chat. So would you like to show up some question? Okay, Mr. Mano and Miss Dira, I have some questions for you, but before that, let me say hi to the audiences. There is Mr. Rizky Rahmathani, as the head of campus Pemimpin Merdeka. There is also Ma'am Erni Marlina as the education consultant. And I have some students here. There is Alicia and Natasha. Hi, my great students. Thank you for watching. And there are also some friends of you, I think. Okay, there is Ales. Mr. Mano, do you know Ales?
Yes.
And there is,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, we have some questions here. So could you please show up the question? Okay. Okay, let me check it. Well, all right. There is a comment from Titi Kusmiati Adnan. Very nice topic. To be honest, I need any tips to raise the critical thinking skills of my students in the first grade of primary school. Well, actually, it is just a statement, I think, but that's okay if I give a chance to Miss Dira to give us some tips how to teach, or how to raise the critical thinking skill of the students. To Miss Dira, time is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so first grader. Well, that's a very interesting age. Okay. I think one of the biggest challenge in the first grader was they need to learn about reading and writing. Right, reading and writing is one of the basic skill in literacy. So one of my idea is to rate when we have to improve the critical thinking on the first grader is and well I'm because I'm a teacher is basically because I'm also a math teacher. Basically you could ask about whether it is true or not to the first grader. For instance, if you are showing for instance, okay, let's do like this. We can ask them whether some object is a fiction or not. You can ask like that. For instance, you can say, okay, you can show an object like, okay, this is a tiger. Do you think tiger is a real thing, or is it a real animal? You can ask that to your teacher, to your students, and then you can show any mythical creature, for instance, dragon. Okay, do you think dragon is true? Why do you think dragon is the real thing? Why do you think it's the real thing? Or why do you think it's not the real thing? Perhaps because usually the first grader, uh, they learn something from a story, right? You can tell a story about the animal first, and then the next thing you can tell a story about mythical creature, and then you can ask them, which one do you think is the real creature, and why do you think it's that? Perhaps that's one of the tips that I can give.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. I think that was a great tips or explanation about how to raise critical thinking for the first primary school. Yeah, by giving true or false question like that. Okay. For the next is from Mr. Alice. Do you have any OER recommendation for STEAM especially? Okay, this question goes to Miss Dira, right? Miss Dira
I think
or
I think
Mr.
for
Mano?
Pamano, can you
Okay. Yeah, Mr.
answer
Mano,
the
could you please
question?
do?
Okay, I just want to understand what is OER, just to make sure that I not. Does anyone know
Okay,
what that?
yeah. Mr. Alice, could you please explain us what is OER? Yeah, while waiting for
I think it's
Mr. Alice.
I think it's
Yeah.
open educational resources. Am I right, Alice? Or
Okay, all right, okay, all right. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think for STEM, I mean, obviously, there's lots of resources out there, like in terms of teaching resources, applications. There's a lot nowadays, right? So I think the most important thing is not to focus on technology, not to focus on these resources, but to focus on your learning outcomes first. What is it that I want my students to learn? It's like example, critical thinking. If I want my students to be critical thinkers, what tools can help to achieve this? So I think there's gone are the days where there are only a few resources and then everyone using the same thing. Today I think there's an abundance of resources in different subject areas. So sometimes, to help me not to get confused, I always ask myself, what are my learning outcomes? What is it that I want the students to understand by the end of these lessons? So, like I said before, one of the things I do is I have a library of videos that I collect, a library of resources, applications, online and apps. So I keep, I when I find them, I keep them. I also subscribe to lots of uh, websites where they share resources, or subscribe to YouTube channels where they share resources. So I keep track of things. I think that's very important. And then I keep a library of things. So when I'm planning for something, let's say if I'm teaching or I'm teaching a particular topic, then what I say is that then I will look through my library and see which one fits best, right? So again, I mentioned some of the resources. Again, we don't have time in this forum to be able to discuss the number of resources, uh, but yeah, there's a lot out there, and I think uh, keep keep in touch with educators networks around Indonesia, worldwide. Google innovators or Apple distinguished educators. So try to be part of these networks. Then you will have a steady stream of ideas, resources coming all the time, and then you can pick and choose what is relevant for you. So I think that will be my advice.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mano, for the nice explanation. Well, actually, there are many questions in live chat, but because we are limited by the time, so there will be one more question from Miss Resmi. Would you like to show it up, please? Is something wrong with my device? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let me try to read it. Yeah. Yes. When students interact with an application, how do you keep them focused on one topic and not distracted by other useless things? Yeah, actually, I have it in my class. So this question goes to both of you guys.
Okay.
Okay, who
Okay.
will be the first? Miss Dira. Okay, you will be the first.
Okay. Okay, that's a very interesting question. How do you keep them focused on one topic and not distracted by other useless things? Well, I'm a huge believer on I'm a huge believer on classroom agreement. So basically, so basically, we are determining, we as a class, we as a teacher, we made the classroom agreement that made by our students and ourselves. Even me as a teacher, I cannot focus. I mean, me as a teacher, it is hard for me to just focus in one app when I'm easily to distract. But I believe that with making classroom agreement and then keep telling them what to do, keep telling them that, remember guys, we have a classroom agreement that today we are going to do this. So what happened if you keep wandering around, keep distracting with other things? Do you think you can finish your work? I think that's the guidance that I always that's the guidance that I always did to my students. So by keep reminding them the classroom agreement, by and then the we have to bear in mind that the classroom agreement itself cannot be rigid, and if there's, I mean, it has to be flexible according to the character of the students. So if you think that your students can, if you think that your students is easily to distracted, so why don't you give some times to them? For instance, okay, guys, if you finish to do this, and I can, so if we are finishing this on time, so let's do other. So I can give you 15 minutes to do to do your thing, or you can have free time for you to explore other things. But please bear in mind that we have to characterize the classroom agreement according to the student needs and also the teacher's need. I think that's for me. That's from me. Okay, Miss Pamano, you want
All
to add?
right. Thank you. By creating or making classroom agreement and keep remind them. All right. Next to Mr. Mano, time is yours.
Yeah. So I think, when students are distracted, there are two reasons why, I believe. One, uh, because they don't find the task interesting enough, right? So I think it's a challenge for us as teachers. I mean, is your task interesting? I mean, if you give them a worksheet, 3 pages, and tell them to finish it, it doesn't sound very interesting, right? So of course they're gonna get distracted. I think the second thing is because they are finding it hard, or they have some challenges where they know they can't do the task, right? So it's they try to avoid, so hence they get distracted. So again, I teach older kids, so again I have agreements with them, trust, and I think it's very important to have great relationship with your cohort of kids. uh, you know uh, Build that trust with them and have agreements. I always have agreements as well with them, like finish your task. If you finish, I'm really flexible. You can do other things. I really don't mind, as long as you finish the task. And if you have difficulties, please reach out to me, reach out to your friends. Uh, Tell me what is causing you not to complete the task. So I think there's not one easy answer. I think as a teacher, I take it a challenge. I want to make the task really, really interesting, get them curious, want to explore. And then in times where I do need to finish the work, we set agreements like if you finish this at this allocated time, then I will give you time to do other things, right? Uh, so I think that usually works. And if kids are distracted, I think take the time, especially there are a couple of kids who are always distracted. Maybe find out what's happening with them. I think sometimes there are reasons behind it, and trying to find out deeper what's wrong. I think that's really helpful. Sometimes it can be just lack of self-control. Uh, Sometimes kids have the real interesting reasons. Every day they need to log one Insta story or something. If not, something will happen. So they have all these things, right? So we can sit down and discuss, right? Maybe you can arrange this in a time that does not disrupt your classroom, when you are in my class, do it during recess or something like that. But yeah, so just take it easy, don't take it personally, I think. Just be calm, keep reminding, keep working on it. And I think over time you can get them a little bit focused. And I think we live in a time where distraction is everywhere, right? Kids are being pulled everywhere in every direction. And it includes us. I think you were sharing that even I can't keep my mind focused, and being focused is a superpower nowadays, right? So
Exactly.
it is
All
something
right.
we need to learn. I think we can't take it for granted. You can't scold kids and say why you're not focused.
Mhm.
You actually need to exercise focus yourself and actually train students how to be focused, because it's a skill, because there's so many things out there pulling them at all directions. So I think that's, yeah, I know it's a long answer, but it is not a simple technique that's going to solve this. Yeah, so just keep that in mind.
Yes, yes, true. If I may add, Miss Nick,
Yeah,
yes,
yes, yes, sure.
yes. For I think for older students, what we can teach is the strategy to be focused. I agree with Pamoda that they need to find it. There are lots of type of strategy that what to be focused. They can use app, they can use any methods, but sometimes they don't know how to do it. So what we can do is we can teach them, especially for older students, for like middle school and high school students. We can teach how they can focus on one thing. We can train them how to focus on one thing, and then okay, take a break 5 minutes. Okay, now focus again. Take a break. We can use that kind of methods.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for Ms. Tira and Mr. Mano for the nice explanation about how to keep students focused on. So I would like to highlight from Mr. Mano that to make your student focus on, try to make your task interesting, and then don't forget to trust your students. Be much closer to your students. Try to make some conversation maybe with them and etc. Well, ladies and gentlemen, because it is 20 past 6, time is time flies fast, yeah. Well, I think we come to the last session. So for all the audiences, don't forget to write down your reflection in live chat or maybe in your social media, and do not forget to hashtag ya, and to mention Temu Pendidik Nusantara 9. Well, before we end our session, I would like to say thank you very much to the both speakers, Mr. Mano and Miss Dira. Would you like to give your close statement to us? Okay, for the first, Mr. Mano, time is yours.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be able to share. I think this is a great platform for us to share best practices, learn from one another, and so I think, yeah, do reach out to me. You can find me online, and if there's any questions or any further questions that you have, always feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help or put you in touch with someone who can help you. So thank you again for the organizers as well, and also to reaching out to me as well.
Thank you, Pak Mano.
Next to Miss Dira.
Okay, for me, as a teacher, we need to be able to explore something new. Don't be afraid to explore something new and implement it in your class. Find out your community. You find out the place where you can have a new ideas to share your ideas, and nevertheless, your students comes first. So please always be updated about any good practice or any or any teaching practice that available. Please always be informed of that, and then try to pick one of the best practice and do it in your class. Don't be afraid to be more transformative in your classroom.
All right. Once more, I would like to say thank you very much to our beloved speakers today, namely Mr. Mano from Singapore and Miss Dira. Thank you for sharing us the best practice, the insightful knowledge to us. And also, I would like to say thank you very much to all audiences who join our international class today. I do hope that we can meet again next year at Temu Pendidik Nusantara. Okay, let's take picture. Hello. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Buni. It's okay.
Well, so can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. For the last session, let's take picture together. Mr. Sain, would you like to show up? Okay, well, in 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you very much. See you next year. Assalamualaikum
See you next
warahmatullahi
year.
wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Dengan pengumuman ini, maka pengubang diminta agar tidak meninggalkan Indonesia guna penyelesaian likuidasi.
Pada tahun 1997 hingga 1998, badai krisis moneter dan perbankan menghantam Indonesia. Masyarakat berbondong-bondong antri di bank dan ATM untuk menarik dana mereka.
Presiden meminta Menteri Keuangan sama Gubernur BI untuk mengambil langkah-langkah menghadapi permasalahan ini di perbankan. Bank yang sudah tidak bisa ditolong tutup pajak. Bank yang masih bisa diselamatkan, ya apakah harus merger atau langkah-langkah lain supaya dibantu. Nah itu nanti bulan November itu dicabut izin 16 bank.
Kekacauan terjadi di mana? Situasi chaos ini disebabkan hilangnya kepercayaan dari masyarakat terhadap perbankan. 16 bank saat itu kolaps.
Wah ini bagaimana? Uang saya hilang. Bayangkan kalau orang waktu itu uang ratusan juta aja udah besar sekali. Sehingga bulan Desember itu ada surat dari Mensesnek ya kepada BI dan Menteri Keuangan untuk membantu, eksplisit disebutkan keluarkan BLBI, bantuan likuiditas Bank Indonesia. Itu Desember itu.
Berdasarkan pengalaman pahit atas tumbangnya 16 bank, Undang-Undang Nomor 10 Tahun 1998 tentang perbankan dikeluarkan.
Saya melihat BPPN itu selalu babak belur berhadapan kalau diadu dengan undang KUH Perdata. Saya kemudian bilang, saya mau untuk membangun LPS itu dengan undang-undang. Nggak mau saya dengan PP.
Pada 22 September 2004, Undang-Undang Republik Indonesia Nomor 24 tentang Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan disahkan. Berdasarkan undang-undang ini, LPS merupakan lembaga independen yang berfungsi menjamin simpanan nasabah penyimpan. Lembaga ini pun turut aktif dalam memelihara stabilitas sistem perbankan sesuai dengan kewenangannya. Setahun kemudian, tepatnya pada 22 November 2005, PS resmi beroperasi.
Negara-negara lain juga masih mengalami krisis ya. Di Australia, perbankan juga, kemudian di Singapura, Malaysia, Hong Kong. Tapi terus terang waktu kita mendirikan LPS, kita banyak mengadap model dari inilah Kanada gitu ya. Karena memang itu model yang cukup bagus lah itu diambil gitu ya, mengenai lembaga penjamin simpanan. Jadi waktu itu memang pemerintah tuh sudah menyiapkan, ya kan, undang-undang LPS. Saya ingat waktu saya di asuransian di Kementerian Keuangan, tugas saya memang selain katakanlah melakukan pengawasan, juga tugas lainnya adalah diminta menyiapkan undang-undang LPS.
Major financial institutions have teetered on the edge of collapse, and some have failed.
Krisis keuangan yang berawal di Amerika Serikat pada tahun 2007, dampaknya mulai dirasakan ke seluruh dunia, termasuk negara-negara berkembang pada tahun 2008. Di Indonesia, imbas krisis keuangan tersebut mulai terasa terutama menjelang akhir 2008. Dampak krisis keuangan global yang paling terasa adalah ketatnya likuiditas di pasar uang antar bank. Penurunan harga saham yang tajam, potensi meningkatnya kredit bermasalah, serta derasnya aliran modal keluar yang menekan nilai tukar rupiah. LPS pun memasuki babak baru dalam pelaksanaan fungsinya, yaitu untuk menyehatkan kembali PT Bank Senturi Tbk. Upaya yang ditempuh nyatanya berbuah manis. Bank Senturi keluar dari status dalam pengawasan khusus oleh Bank Indonesia pada 11 Agustus 2009. Kinerja keuangan PT Bank Senturi pun terus diperbaiki hingga memenuhi ketentuan tentang kesehatan bank. Akhirnya, sejak 3 Oktober 2009, Bank Senturi secara resmi berganti nama menjadi PT Bank Mutiara Tbk.
Pada tahun 2014, bulan November 20, kita lakukan RUPS lebih, penjualan pengalihan saham dari LPS kepada pemenang, yaitu Trust dari Jepang. Ya, perusahaan yang juga bergerak di bidang keuangan, yang mempunyai aktivitas investasi keuangan di luar Jepang, yang telah juga dinyatakan oleh OJK lulus dalam fit and proper test. Harga yang disepakati 4,4 triliun, ekuivalen dengan recovery rate 55%, ekuivalen dengan price to book ratio yang 3,2 kali. Ya, jumlah ini 3,2 kali jauh di atas rata-rata price to book value dari jual beli perbankan di Indonesia yang 2 kali. Ya. Perlu kami sampaikan bahwa indemnity tidak diberikan oleh LPS. Kita menjual bank apa adanya tanpa mengambil, mengakseptasi risiko-risiko yang muncul di kemudian hari.
Dalam perjalanannya, DPR dan pemerintah mengesahkan Undang-Undang Pencegahan dan Penanganan Krisis Sistem Keuangan atau PPKSK. Undang-undang ini memberikan mandat baru bagi LPS, terutama dalam penanganan krisis keuangan. Sidang Paripurna Dewan Perwakilan Rakyat pun menyetujui pengesahan Undang-Undang PPKSK secara aklamasi pada 17 Maret 2016 dan diundangkan pada 15 April 2016. Undang-Undang PPKSK juga memberikan kesempatan kepada LPS untuk masuk lebih awal ke dalam bank sistemik yang mengalami permasalahan solvabilitas. Langkah ini tentunya untuk menentukan resolusi penyihatan yang tepat.
Dengan sekarang disahkannya undang-undang PPKSK, peranan dan tantangan LPS menjadi semakin besar. Kalau pada saat yang lalu adalah betul-betul menjaga dan memberikan jaminan bagi simpanan masyarakat di perbankan, peranan LPS sekarang meningkat menjadi pelaksana program restrukturisasi perbankan.
LPS juga memperoleh metode baru dalam penanganan bank sistemik seperti halnya pengalihan sebagian atau seluruh aset dan kewajiban kepada bank lain atau disebut juga purchase and assumption. Kemudian LPS dapat melakukan metode penggunaan bank perantara untuk menerima pengalihan sebagian atau seluruh aset dan kewajiban dari bank sistemik tersebut, serta penyertaan modal sementara yang telah diatur dalam Undang-Undang LPS. Undang-Undang PPKSK juga memberikan mandat kepada LPS untuk melaksanakan program restrukturisasi perbankan atau PRP dalam kondisi tertentu, seperti krisis sistem keuangan dan permasalahan sektor perbankan yang membahayakan perekonomian nasional.
Di dalam proses yang paling terakhir khususnya, itu perlu ada penguatan. Disinilah peran LPS, tugas dan wewenang LPS tidak lagi hanya sekedar menjamin simpanan masyarakat, tetapi juga memperkuat proses penanganan bank. Dan di dalam Undang-Undang PPKS ini, tugas dan kewenangan LPS itu menjadi lebih luas dari sebelumnya hanya box plus menjadi juga sebagai otoritas di bidang resolusi bank.
Perkembangan sektor perbankan yang dinamis seiring dengan adanya kebutuhan internal membuat LPS melaksanakan program transformasi dengan latar belakang Undang-Undang PPKSK. Program ini diawali dengan perubahan visi dan misi LPS. Visi LPS adalah menjadi lembaga yang terdepan, terpercaya, dan diakui di tingkat nasional dan internasional dalam menjamin simpanan nasabah dan melaksanakan resolusi bank untuk mendorong dan memelihara stabilitas sistem keuangan. Sedangkan misi LPS adalah berkomitmen untuk menyelenggarakan penjamin simpanan yang efektif dalam rangka melindungi nasabah, melaksanakan resolusi bank yang efektif dan efisien, melaksanakan penanganan krisis melalui restrukturisasi bank yang efektif dan efisien, dan berperan aktif dalam mendorong dan memelihara stabilitas sistem keuangan nasional. Berdasarkan data per Agustus 2021, jumlah rekening simpanan yang dijamin LPS telah mencapai di atas target, yaitu 99,92% atau lebih dari 360 juta rekening. Angka ini melebihi target yang ditetapkan Undang-Undang LPS sebesar 90%.
Jadi sekarang saya tidak takut lagi buat nabung di bank yang lain dikarenakan ada penjamin yang namanya LPS.
Saya merasa senang. Ternyata teh benar-benar LPS teh menjaminnya 100%.
Alhamdulillah itu udah ada info dari bank, di bank itu sudah ditangani oleh LPS. Saya senang lah. Terima kasih kepada LPS.
LPS yang menjamin uang kita. Terima kasih LPS.
LPS bersama anggota yakni Kementerian Keuangan, Bank Indonesia, dan OJK melakukan koordinasi dan komunikasi secara intensif demi terciptanya sinergi kebijakan untuk menjaga stabilitas keuangan dalam rangka mendorong pemulihan ekonomi nasional.
Di usia 16 tahun ini, LPS berkomitmen untuk terus berinovasi dan memperbaiki diri, karena kami sadar amanah yang diberikan dan tantangan yang kami hadapi semakin. Kami berkomitmen untuk menjaga kepercayaan nasabah perbankan melalui program penjaminan simpanan dan resolusi bank. Pada kesempatan ini, izinkan saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh masyarakat Indonesia atas dukungannya kepada LPS. Kami juga mengapresiasi pemerintah, DPR RI, regulator, dan industri perbankan yang telah bekerja keras bahu-membahu dalam menjaga stabilitas sistem keuangan dan mendorong perekonomian nasional.